Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready to dive into another health trend with me? Today we're tackling Java Burn. You know, that coffee additive that claims it can boost your metabolism and help you lose weight. We've gotten a ton of questions from you all about it. So we're going to unpack the marketing, dissect the ingredients, and see if the science actually backs up the hype.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, so right off the bat, Java Burn's website is full of phrases like revolutionary science, ignite your metabolism. Oh, and my favorite, effortless weight loss. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want effortless weight loss? But we've got to wonder, is this just clever marketing or is there really something to it?
Right. And, those tactics are everywhere in the supplement industry. They really hone in on that desire for quick results and use scientific sounding jargon to make us think, this is it, this is the answer. But the truth is, the term scientifically proven can be super misleading. Just because there's a study showing a small effect on a tiny group of people doesn't mean it's some kind of miracle cure for everyone.
Okay, so how do we cut through all that noise and figure out what's really going on with Java Burn? Well, the blog post you sent over mentioned a few key ingredients that we should probably start with. Let's see, there was chlorogenic acid, Camellia sinensis, which I had to look up. It's green tea extract. And then there's chromium, L-carnitine, and L-theanine. So that's a mouthful, but let's break it down. What can you tell us about chlorogenic acid?
Okay, so chlorogenic acid is naturally occurring in coffee beans, and there have been a few small studies that suggest it might help with weight management. However, and this is important, those studies typically used a way higher concentration of chlorogenic acid than you'd actually get in your cup of Java Burn coffee.
So it's kind of like saying, oh yeah, running a marathon will get you in shape, which sure, it probably will, but that doesn't mean going for a light jog around the block is going to have the same impact.
Exactly. The dosage makes a big difference.
Okay, so dosage matters. What about green tea extract? I have friends who swear by green tea for all sorts of health benefits.
Green tea extract is really interesting. It's packed with compounds called catechins, and there's some evidence out there that they can actually temporarily increase your metabolic rate. There have even been a few studies that show it can boost metabolism by about 4%, but that's mainly in people who didn't drink green tea regularly before. But whether that small boost actually translates into significant weight loss, that's a whole other story.
So sipping on green tea is probably a good habit, but it's not going to magically shrink your waistline overnight. What about the other ingredients, like the chromium?
Yeah, chromium's an essential mineral. It plays a key role in how our bodies use insulin and how we metabolize carbs. There's some research suggesting that chromium supplements could help regulate blood sugar levels, which might help with weight loss, potentially. But, and this is a big but, a lot of those studies were super short-term and haven't been replicated on a larger scale. Yeah. So we need more, robust long-term studies to really know for sure if chromium supplements are actually effective and, importantly, if they're safe for everyone.
Okay, so it's not a slam dunk for chromium. And what about the L-carnitine and L-theanine? We can't leave those out.
You got it. Those are both important to cover. Let's start with L-carnitine. It's an amino acid that's essential for our bodies to convert fat into energy, which sounds amazing on the surface, right? But there is a catch.
There's always a catch, isn't there?
Right. While L-carnitine does help shuttle fat into, the energy-burning furnace of our cells, you still have to actually use that energy through physical activity like exercise. If you don't, it's not likely to lead to noticeable weight loss on its own.
So L-carnitine might give you a bit of an edge in the gym, but it's not a free pass to skip your workout. Makes sense. Now, what about L-theanine? What's the deal with that one?
Okay, so L-theanine is another amino acid, and it's found mainly in tea leaves. It's known for promoting relaxation and focus, often counteracting those jittery effects that some people get from caffeine. Now, there has been some very, very preliminary research hinting that L-theanine, when combined with caffeine, might give a tiny boost to metabolism. But I'm talking really early research here. We need way more data to confirm if that's actually true and what the optimal dosage would even be.
It's interesting how almost every ingredient in Java Burn seems to have some potential, but the specifics, like the dosages and how it all works together, that's all a little fuzzy, isn't it?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. We know the general ingredients in Java Burn, but the company hasn't actually revealed how much of each ingredient is in their formula, and that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Because the dosage can completely change how those ingredients affect us. A tiny sprinkle of green tea extract isn't going to have the same effect as a concentrated dose.
Right. It's like the difference between adding a pinch of salt to your soup versus dumping the entire shaker in there. It's all about balance. Speaking of unknowns, can we talk about those glowing reviews and testimonials on Java Burn's website? I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in those personal success stories, like the blog post you sent over. The writer was raving about having more energy, feeling lighter, even losing a few pounds. But how much stock should we really put into those kinds of anecdotes?
That's where things get a little tricky. Anecdotal evidence can be really persuasive because it really tugs at our heartstrings. We connect with those personal stories, and let's be honest, we want to believe that what worked for someone else will work for us too. But as tempting as it is to just take those stories as fact, it's crucial to keep in mind that they're not the same thing as scientific evidence.
Yeah, I know. Easier said than done, right? But what makes those anecdotes so unreliable?
Well, for one thing, everyone's experience is different. Just because one person saw results, it doesn't guarantee that everyone else will. Our bodies are incredibly complex, and there are so many factors that can influence how we respond to things like our genetics, our overall health, our lifestyle, even our mindset.
And don't forget about the placebo effect.
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes just believing that something will work is enough to make us feel like it is, even if it really has no effect whatsoever.
It's like when you get a brand new pair of running shoes. You suddenly feel like you can run so much faster,
Right.
even if they're basically the same as your old shoes.
Exactly. Our brains are wild. But going back to that blog post for a sec, the writer mentioned feeling more energized, losing a few pounds. Which, hey, that's great for them, but is there any way to know for sure if those results were because of Java burn or if other things were going on? Like, did they maybe change their diet or their workout routine around the same time they started using Java burn?
It's a great question.
Were they more aware of their health goals in general,
Mhm.
making healthier choices overall? Those are all important things to think about.
They really are. And that's exactly why we can't rule out the possibility that this person's good experience was influenced by other things besides just the Java burn.
Okay, so we have to be careful not to jump to conclusions.
Exactly.
Just because someone had a positive experience doesn't mean the product was the sole reason.
And that's why, while those anecdotes can be really interesting, even inspiring sometimes,
Mhm.
we can't forget to look at them with a critical eye. They're a good starting point, a way to get the conversation going, but they shouldn't be the only thing we base our decisions on, especially when it comes to our health.
So it's a good reminder to, not let those exciting before and after pictures or glowing reviews completely cloud our judgment.
Definitely not.
We've got to stay vigilant.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that can sway our judgment, let's talk about Java Burn's money-back guarantee. They offer a 60-day, no questions asked refund if you aren't happy with it. That sounds pretty tempting.
Yeah.
It feels like, hey, I've got nothing to lose. If it doesn't work, I can just get my money back. But I have a feeling you're going to tell me it's not quite that simple.
You know me too well. You're right. Money-back guarantees can be really reassuring for people, but they can also be a really smart marketing tactic.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Tell me more about that. How can money-back guarantees be used as a marketing tool?
Well, think of it this way. When a company offers a money-back guarantee, it lowers the risk for the consumer. When people feel like they can try something without the fear of wasting their money, they're much more likely to give it a go, even if they have some doubts in the back of their minds.
So it's kind of like a safety net that encourages people to take a chance on the product. But how does that connect to how well the product, like Java Burn in this case, actually works?
That's the million-dollar question. The thing is, a money-back guarantee doesn't automatically mean that the product is actually effective. It might just mean that the company is really good at marketing, and they're confident that enough people will be happy with the product, even if it's just a placebo effect, that it makes up for any refund requests they get.
So the guarantee itself doesn't really tell us anything about the product's true effectiveness.
Exactly.
It could be a great product or it could be a total dud. We
Right.
just don't know for sure based on the guarantee alone.
Exactly.
So should we just ignore money-back guarantees altogether?
Not necessarily.
You
They
find-
can definitely provide some peace of mind, especially when you're trying something new. But the key takeaway here is that a money-back guarantee is just one small piece of a much bigger puzzle. It shouldn't be the only thing we consider when making our decisions.
It sounds like we all need to be smart consumers and look beyond those shiny guarantees. All right, so after all that digging, where do we land with Java Burn? You came to us wanting to know if it's worth adding to your morning routine. Let's recap what we've learned in this deep dive. We've seen that Java Burn does have a few ingredients that might have some metabolic benefits. Green tea extract, chromium L-carnitine, they've all shown some promise in studies, But, and this is a big but, those studies often use way higher doses than what's actually in Java Burn.
Right, and we still don't know the exact amounts of each ingredient because they don't tell us it's their own proprietary blend.
Exactly. So while the ingredients themselves aren't necessarily bad, we need a lot more info to know if they're actually in there at a level that would do anything.
It's true.
And on top of that, even if each ingredient on its own has shown some potential, that doesn't automatically mean that the whole Java Burn formula is going to be effective.
Yeah, it's like you can have all the right ingredients for a cake, flour, sugar, eggs, but that doesn't guarantee it's going to be good.
Right.
The proportions matter. It's how it all comes together.
It's all about the recipe.
Exactly. And for all we know, this specific combination of ingredients at these specific dosages in Java Burn may not have been rigorously tested at all.
Okay, that's a really good point.
Hmm.
And we also can't forget about the power of good marketing. Those glowing reviews, the before and after pictures, that stuff can be super persuasive. But like we talked about earlier, we've got to take those anecdotal stories with a grain of salt. Just because it worked for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone.
Definitely not.
And it's almost impossible to know for sure if the product was the reason or if other factors played a role.
Absolutely.
And that money-back guarantee, while it sounds great on the surface, we've got to remember it's a business strategy too.
It definitely is. It's designed to get people to try it, even if they're on the fence.
So where does that leave you, our dear listener, who's wondering if Java Burn is right for them?
Well, here's the bottom line. There's no magic bullet for weight loss. If you're looking for a quick fix, this probably isn't it. However, if you're interested in trying it out, knowing that the scientific evidence is still kind of iffy, and you're going to approach those amazing testimonials with a little bit of healthy skepticism, then hey, it might be worth a shot.
I think that's a good way to put it. Just don't expect miracles. Remember, the real magic happens when you focus on the fundamentals. Things like a balanced diet, regular exercise, managing stress, getting enough sleep. Those are the things that are really going to move the needle when it comes to your health and weight loss.
Couldn't agree more.
And as always, if you're thinking about adding any new supplement to your routine, it's always a good idea to chat with your doctor first. They can help you weigh the potential benefits and risks based on your own personal health history.
Great advice.
Well, there you have it, our deep dive into the world of Java Burn. We hope this has given you the info you need to make an informed choice for yourself. Remember, there's no one-size-fits-all answer here, so weigh the evidence, trust your gut, and as always, stay curious.